Under the Industrial Disputes Act 1947, there is a machinery in industrial disputes. So this machinery will be looking into how to settle the disputes. So let us focus on the various machineries which is available to settle this disputes under this particular Industrial Disputes Act of 1947. So first we will see how this particular dispute can be settled. So first one is through the voluntary arbitration. So we know arbitration is a process of trying to settle down the issues by both the parties where they are having their willingness. So when there is a dispute or disagreement or some friction between, in such case, if both the parties they are having some willingness to go for arbitration through a third party. So arbitrator is a third party who is trying to settle down such issues, and based on the willingness of the both parties to the particular arbitration, then they may give their opinions. Based on their opinions and their views, the arbitrator will be submitting a decision voluntarily. Regarding adjudication, this is a process involved in settling the disputes, which is done compulsorily by the intervention of a third party. So this third party is appointed by the government, but in case of arbitration, it is the willingness and the decision is voluntary. And when coming to adjudication, it is done by the intervention of the government. So there is a particular three-tier structure where we have a labor court, industrial tribunal and national tribunal. So all these matters regarding this has been discussed under second schedule, and based on the particular second schedules we will discuss about the qualification, disqualification and duties of the labor codes. So the main duty is to adjudicate upon any industrial disputes which is arising under the second schedule. Same way they have to give the award, that is already discussed in the previous videos. So you can just refer to it. So it is to give award within the specified period based. Then this industrial dispute preventive machinery. So there is a preventive machinery or there is a machinery to settle down such disputes. So we have a voluntary machinery, that is through collective bargaining or reference to the trade unions or having joint consultation board or by giving standing orders, or we have the grievance settlement procedures, or we are following some code of discipline. So all these methods are called as voluntary methods because it has been initiated through the willingness. So collective bargaining or the trade union where we have some representations from both the management and the members of the, that is the members or representation from the employee side, or we have a joint consultation board, or sometimes even they issue some standing orders, or there is some already existing grievance redressal procedure where we can refer to the particular procedure or issue some orders, or we can even follow some of the disciplinary actions which we are already have it in our code of conduct. Regarding the government machinery, we have a machinery at both state level and central level, and we call them as labor administrative machinery. Then regarding the statutory machineries, we will talk about under two things. One is the Industrial Disputes Act, where we are focusing now on this Industrial Disputes Act 1947, and we have the state act. So this is purely based upon the different states in the particular country. So we are talking about Industrial Disputes Act, which is common. Through we have a statutory machinery that has been due to the Dispute Act. So we have constituted the works committee, or we have a conciliation officer, or we have a conciliation board, or we have an arbitration procedure and adjudication. So all this works committee, conciliation officer, conciliation board and arbitration, we have already discussed our YouTube TPTs and YouTube videos. You can just refer to them. And today we will be talking about the adjudication machinery through the labor courts, industrial tribunals and national. Now, what are the matters? So under schedule 2, which can be referred to this labor courts? So first one is the propriety or legality of an order which has been passed by an employer as a standing order. The same way, an application and interpretation of the particular standing order should be quoted down, and in case of any discharge or dismissal of workmen, so that may include the reinstatement of any workman, or sometimes granting relief to the workman, or sometimes wrongfully dismissing. So all these are inclusive under the discharge or dismissal under Schedule 2. Sometimes they are also giving some concessions. So these concessions are called as a customary concessions or a privilege which are already been in existence, and the employees are being enjoying those concessions or privileges. Suddenly when the employer tries to withdraw this customary concessions or privilege, even that can be referred to Schedule 2 under labor codes. So, and regarding the fifth point, it is illegality or otherwise they are going for a strike or a lockout. And all the other matters which are being specified other than in third schedule will be coming under schedule. Now regarding the rules of discipline, rationalization, retrenchment of workmen and closure of establishment and any other matter that can be prescribed. So these are the things which are coming under the particular Schedule 2. Then the powers, what are the powers which are being enjoyed? So they have the power to enter premises or power of a civil court, or they can even appoint an assessor, or they can have the power to award cost. So the duties of this particular industrial dispute is to refer a particular case to a tribunal for adjudication, and it is also holding the proceedings, and within the specified time they have to preferably pass the order. Now duties of this labor court, as far as the adjudication of this industrial tribunal dispute is concerned, it has to refer to all the things which has been already discussed under Schedule 2, which we have seen now. Then any other functions, so some other functions has been entrusted to labor court, even they will be acting on those functions which has been entrusted under the particular act, this act, that is Industrial Disputes Act 1947. Then the award of labor court should always be in writing and it should be signed. So the signing authority is the presiding officer. So the presiding officer will give the particular order for a labor court in the form of writing, and he will put his signature. So that will become an authenticated record, and it also has to be published by the particular appropriate authority within 30 days. So from the date of receipt of this order by the presiding officer, that is award, that has to be published by the particular authority within the 30 days from the receipt of. Now we will see about the powers of a civil court under section 11 subsection 3. So the Board of Conciliation, as we know, they have some certain powers which is with respect to civil court constituted under the Code of Civil Procedure in the year 1908. So the power we will see about it. First one is enforcing the attendance of any person, and even they can examine on oath. Then trying to compel him to produce some documents and material evidences or objects. So then they even can issue commissions for the examination of fitness and all the other matters which has been given in subsection 3. So this is the power of the, and we will see about 11.4, that is section 11.4. So under this particular section, the conciliation officer, he has got the powers of a civil court. So he may the same thing. So in such case, what they can do is he can even inspect some documents which he can have some ground to be for thinking that it is relevant for the industrial disputes, and even he can verify the implementation of any degree, that is award, or even he can have some other duties which have been conferred him under the part. Now next is the industrial tribunal. This particular industrial tribunal has been constituted by the state government under section 7A. This tribunal will be presided by the presiding officer, and he is the authoritative hierarchy in order to pass the order, and he has got the powers with respect to see about the disputes arising due to wages, or sometimes even that wages, period of paying wages, or the mode of payment of wages, or even compensatory and other allowances, or some issues regarding working hours, or with respect to rest intervals, or with respect to leave with wages, or sometimes they are not even given holidays, or all these matters. And most of the things are referred as with respect to bonus, or some issues with respect to profit sharing, or contribution towards provident fund, or gratuity, or in case of any change in the working conditions or shift system, or some rules and regulations of the particular authority, or they even go for rationalization and retrenchment of the workers. So all these are coming under third schedule of the Institute Act. Now the tribunals, as we know, the particular tribunal are being coming into existence by the notification in the official gazette, which has been constituted by one or more industrial tribunals, and the matter is to adjudicate. So the matter has to be adjudicated by these industrial disputes. So whatever the matter has referred to industrial disputes, so they have to perform such functions which are being assigned to them under the particular appropriate authority or the government by the official gazette. So that is the role they have to play, and the tribunal can consist of one person only, and he has been appointed by the appropriate government. And the person, he shall not be qualified for appointment as a presiding officer of a tribunal unless he is a person, or it is a judge of a high court, or he is a person who is having period of less than 3 years of service, or he has been a district judge or an additional district judge. The appropriate government may, if he thinks fit, can appoint 2 persons. So these 2 persons will be acting as an assessors who will be giving advice to the tribunal. So we have one person, and he is being appointed by the appropriate government, and he has to be a person who is in the capacity of a judge of a high court, and he has been for a period of not less than 3 years as a district judge or as an additional judge. So this is a qualification which is essential to be the member in the tribunal, and he will be assisted by the assessors who are being appointed by the appropriate authority if there is a need. So they can even appoint 2 more to assist him. So what are the matters which will be coming under the jurisdiction of the industrial tribunal? So as we all already seen, I am just giving a recap of it. So that is, we have the wages, including the period and mode of payment, and all the other allowances and compensatory allowances. Then issues pertaining to hours of work and rest intervals. Then problem relating to payment of wages and holidays during leave time, or payment of bonus or profit sharing, or contribution to provident fund, or withdrawal with respect to provident fund, and payment of gratuity, and regarding the shift system standing orders. Now this industrial tribunal is constituted, as I told you, we should have one or more persons, and he should be a judge and has to have not less than 3 years, and should hold the office of the chairman of or member of this labor appellate tribunal for not less than 2 years. So this jurisdiction will be to look into rules of discipline, classification of grading of the employees, or retrenchment of workers, or rationalization, or sometimes even regarding the hours of work. So the person, as we know, shall not be qualified for appointment as presiding officer unless he has been a judge of an high court, or he has to be advised by 2 assessors who are being appointed by the appropriate authority. Here it is a central government, and he cannot be appointed or continue in the office of the presiding officer if this condition is very, very essential, if he is not an independent person and when he has attained the age of 65 years. So the same will be his disqualifications in case of presiding officer of a labor court and tribunal. Suppose if there is a vacancy in the office of the presiding officer and such vacancy can be filled by appointing another person. In that case, there can be, he can be proceeding can be from the stage or the, so whenever there is a vacancy that can be filled by the another appointment of another. So now we will have a look at the duties of this industrial tribunal. So they have to perform the same function as the labor court. So the duty is to hold its proceedings expeditiously, and they have to submit the award of the appropriate government. So the time period is also already specified, and they have to refer the dispute within the extent. Now the powers of this industrial tribunal. So this tribunal will be enjoying the same powers as of the labor court, and they are only called as a quasi judicial power. They have only the quasi judicial power, and they have to adjudicate a dispute on a fair and just basis. So this is very important. This particular industrial tribunal has to always adjudicate any dispute on a very fair and a just basis, and they can even award the award of the tribunal should be always quashed on the grounds that it is given without any jurisdiction. So it is much vital that any error of law which is apparent on the face of the record, so in that case we have to always adopt the principle of nature justice. So we cannot do anything which is contrary to the principle of nature. Section 7b refers to the National Tribunal. So this particular National Tribunal is coming into existence by the official gazette, and it is being constituted with having some by the central government, which involves some questions of national importance. So in this case the nature is the industries which are having existence in more than one state. So if it is having more a place of business in more than one state, then they have to be interested in, or they can be affected by any disputes. So whatever matters appearing in second and third schedule will be looked by the National Tribunal, which is constituting of one person to be appointed by the central government, and the person, he shall not be qualified for appointment as a presiding of a national tribunal unless he is being a judge of a high court. So the person who is appointed as a presiding officer should have the rank of a judge of a high court. That is essential. Now section 33b, this is very important to note that the power to transfer some certain proceedings. So the appropriate government, they can give in order, and they have to state the reasons why there is a transfer of certain proceedings, or sometimes even they can withdraw any proceeding under this act which is already pending before the labor court or the tribunal or the national tribunal, and they can even transfer the same to another labor court, tribunal or national tribunal. So this is with respect to certain proceedings. So there, when there is a need arising, they will be doing it, and this tribunal to which the particular proceeding is transferred, they have to have some special directions. So why they are going to transfer, what is the reason, even that should be specified, and they have to go for either divorce or from the stage at which it was so transferred. So from when the case is being done, if that is pending, from the pending situation they have to handle it. So this proceeding is done under section 33 or 33A. So when anything is pending before the tribunal or a national tribunal, then particular case can be referred to the labor. Then who are the parties who are bound by the settlement and the period of operation, section 18 and 19. So there should be a settlement which should be arised. So that is why we are going for a conciliation proceedings under this act, and all the parties, whatever settlement is arrived, that is binding on all the parties through this industrial dispute, and also the other parties who have been summoned to appear for this proceeding as a party to the dispute unless they were called without any proper case. So now we will go to the National Tribunal. So this is the three-tier structure as already told. So this is the third structure, and this is main is they are adjudicating body which is appointed by the central government, and on the notification has been made in the official gazette, and the role is to adjudicate the industrial disputes of national importance. So what they do is they appoint 2 persons as assessors to advise this national tribunal, as already we have seen that, and they have to refer to. So when any national tribunal has been referred to, in such case no labor court or industrial tribunal shall have any jurisdiction to adjudicate upon such matter. So this is important to note that if any particular dispute has been referred to national tribunal, in that case the labor court or the industrial tribunal has no jurisdiction over such matter to adjudicate. Now the constitution of this jurisdiction of national tribunal, as we know, it is only constituted by the central government, and they also have to appoint 1 person, and regarding the qualification of such person, he is called as a presiding officer, and he should be a judge of a high court, and he is appointed as a presiding officer by the government. Now the duty is to look into the settlement of any disputes. So when any matter has been referred to industrial dispute and that will be transferred to national tribunal for adjudication, then they have to give the award to the appropriate government, and any award which is being given should always be in writing and should be signed by the presiding officer of the national tribunal, and as I already mentioned, should be submitted by the central government from 30 days of the receipt of this award, and should be published. Now the model principles for reference of disputes to adjudication is when the parties to the industrial disputes, they are applying in a prescribed form. So the prescribed form will be mentioned, and when any reference has been made by the government and the government is satisfied that the person has got the authority of to apply and to represent the majority of each party, in such case the disputes can be